Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm JSimLady and this is a Disney Dreamlight Valley video. In fact, more specifically, it's a Disney Dreamlight Valley speed build. Today we're working on a floating meadow island farm. This is actually the second version I built. The first version I didn't care that much for. I didn't like the number of spaces I put in between, so I took Suro's method. He is a content creator here on YouTube that pretty much just does Disney Dreamlight Valley, and he was showing off his floating island that he uses for a farm. I don't remember which floating island he used. I thought it was the Plaza one, but I could be wrong. I decided to put mine on the Meadow one because I kind of wanted to put Cinderella on the Plaza one, though part of me is maybe thinking not. I don't know. We'll find out in the future which way it ends up being. But if you have any suggestions for great places to put Cinderella and her castle, let me know. I just felt like the Plaza floating island would be the best place because her castle is like the centerpiece of Disney. It's like, I don't know, it is Disney, you know what I mean? It's there in everything, it's everywhere all the time. She's like, or rather, her castle with Tinkerbell is like Disney. You know? You know what I'm saying? But in this game, the dream castle with the realms takes center stage. So Cinderella's castle can't take center stage. So I feel like the next best thing is to put her on the floating Plaza Island. I don't know, maybe that's weird. Let me know down in the comments how you feel and what you think about that. But anyways, I initially started with 5 spaces in between. I think there's now 4 spaces in between each of those areas to allow for different crops. So here was the plan. I wanted to separate it by pack. Not necessarily like by biome or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to separate it by pack. I didn't want to have separate farms for each pack. Just like I don't want to have separate rooms inside my home for each pack's storage, because that's really annoying. But I did feel like if I separated the crops that you grow from seeds by pack, base game, and or DLC, it would make it easier and quicker to find things. Does that make sense? I didn't necessarily need them to be separated by biome because I don't care about that, and I don't think it really has any real effect in any way, shape, or form. Like, you don't need to know which biome something came from or whatever. You have to know which DLC it came from, if that makes sense. I know I'm rambling and I'm probably not making a ton of sense, but I'm just trying to describe my thought process here. And really it just comes down to what was the best way to organize the crops so that I could run in here really quick, grab what I need, replant what needs to be replanted, and then move on with the game. And for me, that became just having all items from a single, either the base game or DLC, at least together in one spot, even if they aren't in any particular order in that spot. it's really easy to see which plant is where, if that makes sense. And you'll understand a little bit more when we get a little bit further into the video where I actually have the crops planted. I don't include that in the video. That took me a long time to pull off. Also, a lot changed over the course of building this. I had one idea in mind, and then I realized that it wasn't going to work the way I wanted it to work, and so I switched and I started on a sort of different plan of attack on this farm. The biggest issue I saw with creating a big farm like this was just keeping everything organized and keeping it as separated as possible so that you're not searching for stuff. That was my one main focus in this initial phase. There was a little sort of like, how do I want to decorate this? What do I want to use as my inspiration and whatnot? But for the most part, this initial phase was, how do I want to set this up to be the most efficient? And I initially thought that putting the well in the center would be the most beneficial and efficient. But I later changed my mind about that because the well was kind of in the way. And also it meant that I had less space for whatever was planted in those two plots on either side of the well. And I kind of wanted to have space there for future expansion if possible. So I ended up moving everything around. I moved everything around again after that to flip the whole farm, I guess you could say. You know, I think I'm getting a little bit too ahead of myself. Let's stay with where we're at the moment. At the moment, I thought I had the basis of the farm set up just the way I wanted it. I wanted more room at the front where the house was at, so that I could decorate around that spot. And I didn't measure out or count how many tiles moving forward from where I picked everything to be. So I didn't account for expansion, but at this particular point, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking, okay, this is the basic layout. This is about how much space I'm gonna need for the current crops we have in the game. And this is now how I kind of want to go about decorating. I hadn't yet decided what I was gonna do in those two shortened spaces on either side of the well. I figured at this point that I could leave them empty and just put flowers all over in them. And then if we needed the extra space later for growing pumpkins or whatever, that's what we could use that space for. And so that's kind of what I was doing, what my plan was for this whole thing, was to just do that. I know some people don't like looking at or playing the game at night, but I do. And I often play at night because it's when I have time to play. So I like to check out all the different lighting and how it's going to look. And just then I realized that the house had a front and a back door. And I wasn't 100% sure at first which side was the front and which side was the back. That's why I was running around the house doing that. But I was doing all of this in the dark because I wanted to see how the lighting looked. Was it pretty? Did it, was the lighting good enough for me to be able to work at night? So anyways, as you can obviously see now, I have filled in all of the spots with all the crops I had at the time. I realized that at this point, though, that I needed a few more spots for Wish Blossom Ranch crops. So that's why I moved the house from this end to the other end, and I got rid of some of the stuff, and I am now not flipping, I already did that part. I'm now adding on more spaces. It took me a while to count how many spaces I might need. In the end, I figured it out, and then I needed to decide what I wanted to do with those middle spaces. I believe that I made them a little bit wider than all the other spaces, so I needed to decide what I was gonna do with those spaces on either side of the well there, because it was around this time that I also decided, as you can see, that I wanted to move the well as well. Also, I wanted to move the well also because I wanted to come in and have a straight shot down the farm so that I could run to whatever I need. And if I was planting a large number of items, I could run into the house and stock up on energy because there's a sort of kitchen in there. There really isn't a kitchen in there. There's just a stove right now, but it works. I need to decorate the inside of that house at some point too. But it was about here that I decided I would use it as a sitting area, a place to sit and just stare out over the farm and the ponds and relax and take a breath and a moment from the sometimes hectic pace that I try to run through quests or whatever. I just think this is a beautiful spot now. I'm not fully done decorating it. I think there is a lot more that I could add to it, but I like it for now. And because I think it's so soothing and calming and pretty, it's just a nice little spot to go in game and hang out for a few minutes. And so that's why I wanted to put the sitting area or a plaza / sitting area right there where the well was originally gonna be so that I could have that. And also I wanted to have villagers, characters, Disney characters wandering around the farm as well. And so I thought to have a little sitting area for them would also be nice. So that is why I included that. I have called a few characters to this island a few times, but it's random whether they will actually show up or not. I have a couple of other islands where I called characters to them ages ago, and the characters just still continue to show up there even when I sent them away and called other characters. The other characters don't show. The original ones that I first called to that island do show. And even more weirdly than that, I've been working on a storage island, and the characters that I called to be at the floating frozen island to do my Christmas build in are now showing up on my storage island, which is a completely different island. It's the first island that you get with Eternity Isle. I don't remember what it's called, Ancient's Landing or Ancient Floating Island or something like that. They all show up there instead. it's weird. But also a few random villains were showing up there too that I hadn't called to any islands. So that's even more weird yet. I don't know. I think the whole calling villagers to a certain area and having them show up on the islands is potentially a bit glitchy, maybe. And you know what? I didn't end up using any of those arches, but I'm still thinking about finding some places to add arches because I don't know, I just think they'd be cute. Also, I might someday remove Cruella's greenhouse. It's small, it's compact, and it's a greenhouse, but it doesn't really fit the aesthetic really well with what I was going for this island. I like it, don't get me wrong. I really like it. I think it's cool. I love the red, black, and white color scheme. But I just don't think it fits this very spring, pastel-y almost meadow place very well. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I just don't think it fits in super well with this spot. And it doesn't stay where you're seeing it currently in the build. Eventually, I do move it to a different spot. But even in that spot, it still doesn't fit in super well. I may trade it out for something else. I just haven't fully decided what I might trade it out for yet. Maybe some of the other stuff that comes with Wish Blossom Ranch. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of the stuff has snow cover on it. Not the stuff from Glamour Gulch or Pixie Acres, but the other stuff, like from Wishing Way and the actual ranch area and whatever. A lot of those items have snow on them, so they're kind of hard to fit into this very springy, summery, flowery build. But if I could include some of them in this build in some way, I will definitely try to do that because I think they fit really well. I think they fit this theme. I think they fit this aesthetic really well. And I think that I would probably like them better than I like Cruella's greenhouse. Oh, there are those little sort of fake buildings from Pixie Acres. I could put those there instead. I don't know. You let me know down in the comments what you think I should replace the greenhouse with. I just went with the greenhouse because it's a greenhouse, you know? A greenhouse in a meadow, farm, with flowers and crops. It seemed to fit, you know? Well, I mean, the idea was there. Anyways, I also added, as you can see, don't worry, the rain goes away in a minute. I also added a few other, well, one other little sitting area and just some decorative things around the edges. I think, yeah, I think I already said that hopefully we get some more spring, summery type of stuff in a future, like Star Path or something, because I would love to decorate this with even more springy, summery, flowery stuff. There's still some things I could probably change up. So again, that's where I ask you for your input. There we go. We got rid of the rain. Your input on what you think turned out really well and what you think didn't turn out very well. But yeah, this is the sitting area that I've been talking about, the sort of main sitting area. And eventually I do fill it up with those flower boxes, sort of level or in line with the benches. Maybe someday I'll just take that center pathway out there and just put a bunch of flowers in there all the way down. I haven't really decided yet because when you use the planter boxes, it fits more flowers in them, whereas if you place them down yourself, you can't put as many in, but you can have more of a variety. So I haven't really decided yet which way I want to go with that, but for now, I like the way it turns out, and I like how it lights up at night, because the flowers that I used were the luminescent flowers. What is that from? Eternity Isle, I think? So, I do like the way that it lights up. I also used the light up lily flowers, lily pads, in the water. Sorry, now might be a good time to mention I have had a cough since September. I've had a chronic cough pretty much my entire adult life, but it comes and goes a lot. And there are just, like, I had a series of colds in September and October, just like one right after the other. And it kind of triggered my cough, plus some other health issues, kind of re-triggered my chronic coughing. And now on top of it, I'm also taking a medication that can cause a little bit of a mild, like, throat irritation cough type of thing. So that's adding to it. And to make matters even worse, I think I've come down with another cold because my nose is all stuffy. So that's adding to it as well. And just, it's been rough. Let me just say that. It's been rough. I can't really live stream very well because it hits at any, like, random moment. It will hit, and then once it starts, it's really hard to get it to stop. Sometimes for like up to 15 minutes. I cannot do anything because it just causes me to cough and cough and cough and cough, which makes live streaming hard. But also I've been having problems with my Wi-Fi. That's another reason that I just abruptly quit live streaming again. The Wi-Fi card in this computer sometimes randomly works, and then sometimes randomly it doesn't, and it's been an issue. Anyways, back to the build. So I spent a lot of time just really trying to decide what things I wanted to put in a meadow. A flowery, relaxing, soothing meadow, garden, farm space that I could just sit and relax in. And I gotta be honest with you, it was harder than it looks. I spent so much time at the crafting table and in the furniture menu that I actually ended up cutting most of that out of this video, because you would think it would have been super easy, but it really wasn't. It wasn't that easy at all. Oh, here's where I move the greenhouse from the end to by the house, so that I could have more room for Wish Blossom Ranch crops at the end, and then I just filled up extra space on the opposite side with more pumpkins. But anyways, again, like I said before, it doesn't match the aesthetic. It doesn't fit. It doesn't look good. So I'm planning on getting rid of it as soon as I figure out what I might want to replace it with. I don't know. What would you replace it with if it were you? I still want something there. I just don't know what yet. But we are getting close to the end of the speed build. And so this is the part where I tell you, go ahead and copy what I've made. Copy it identically, copy it and change it to the way you want it to look. Do whatever you want with it. I am a firm believer in copying other people's stuff until you get good at what it is you're trying to do, and or you figure out what it is that you like. and you can then make your own from that. When I was a kid, one of the number one sellers in arts and crafts supplies was transfer paper, copy paper. I don't know what we call it these days, but it was like a thin tissue paper that you could put over top of pictures and stuff to copy them. And they actually encouraged kids to do this in school. Copy other people's artwork and pictures and photos and stuff so that you could learn how to draw, how to color, what you liked, what you were good at, what was appealing to you, and the basics of how to do it. I mean, obviously, they would teach you some stuff, but when it comes to art, and these types of builds are just another form of art, when it comes to art, sometimes there really isn't much that you can be taught. You can be taught about depth and perspective and light and shadow, but can you really be taught how to draw a hand? Can you really be taught to just look at certain elements and know that they go well together? Or is it something you have to learn by seeing first? You know what I mean? And I know you could just say that that goes all the way back, and how far back are you willing to go? Like, who inspired everyone else? But I still am a firm believer in copying. So go ahead and copy, and we are done with the speed build. And here it is. I'm standing at the little cottage, and I'm running towards, obviously, the well. And in a second here, I will turn around and you can see everything from both sides, including from the well side. And there you have it. That is my new farm garden. We can take a stroll here past the little ponds, I guess. The little picnic sitting area. There's the house and the greenhouse again. I did leave a crafting bench there for future use if ever it became necessary. These are the little sitting areas. I think the sitting areas turned out so cute, and I'll be sad if I have to get rid of them someday. I also threw in a little boat in that pond back there just because. So hopefully you enjoy this meadow farm. Hopefully you think it's as cute as I think it is. And hopefully you're enjoying my channel and my videos. If you are, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!